Dr. Yagan, am I saying your name right? Tell me, if you were king for a day and you could rewrite America's tax code, tell me the 3 changes you would make.
Number 1, I would equalize labor and capital tax burdens at the top. There are a couple ways of doing that. The billionaire minimum income tax is one that would move in that direction. I won't rehash those details. Senator Johnson actually talked about a corporate tax integration type.
What's number 2?
Sure. Number 2, part of closing the labor and capital disparity is closing the Gingrich-Edwards loophole. And number 3 is ending abuse of trusts. So the estate tax has been eviscerated. Many of those, you take assets that you know are worth a lot. Right now they're purportedly worth a little because you haven't taken your company public. You put them into a trust, it explodes.
Do you support a wealth tax? Do you know what I mean by wealth tax?
I do know what you mean by wealth tax. The billionaire minimum income tax taxes income, and that I think is the way forward in that space.
Well, let me be a little more precise. Do you think appreciation of assets that are not sold, unrealized gain, should be taxed?
I think you should have to prepay tax on it that will eventually be due at sale, gift, or bequest.
What do you mean prepay the tax?
Sure. So if I have $5 billion of unrealized capital gains, I have $5 billion of taxable income, and I'm currently paying $1.5 billion on that. So that's a 15% overall tax rate.
No, let's don't complicate this.
Wow. Did you hear that guy? Did you see that dweeb, that mousy bureaucrat? What the hell is he talking about? Folks, it's not, you know what? It's so easy to talk about when it's not your freaking money. It's somebody else's money. It's OPM. And these guys, they have the temerity, the gumption, the arrogance to tell millionaire classes, what the hell they should be doing with their money. As Rocky Balboa's mentor and coach, Mickey, would say, the nerve of those guys. You gotta knock them into Sunday, Rock. You gotta knock them into Sunday. I mean, come on. This is unbelievable. Let's just go back, folks. Go back. I want to go back about 15, 20 seconds. Hear the question from Senator Kennedy again, asking this bureaucratic, virtue signaling, woke government official telling billionaires what they can do, how they should be taxed on unrealized capital gains. Amazing. Let's listen to it.
Do you think appreciation of assets that are not sold, unrealized gain, should be taxed?
I think you should have to prepay tax on it that will eventually be due at sale.
Oh, I think you should be, prepay the tax you should do that would be realized upon sale.
Gift or bequest.
What do you mean prepay the tax?
Sure.
Yeah,
so
sure.
If I have $5 billion of unrealized capital gains, I have $5 billion of taxable income, and I'm currently paying $1.5 billion on that. So that's a 15% overall tax rate.
No.
I have $5 million of unrealized gains. So you know what I'll do? It's 15%. Why don't you just make it 50% or 75%? I just have $5 million of untaxable gains. Do you think, Dr. Danny Yagan, that if you had $5 billion in untaxable gains, that you would be saying the same load of bullshit that you're trying to shovel here at this congressional meeting, this Senate hearing? Really? Is that what you're saying? Oh, that's just $1.5 million of tax that you've got to pay. These guys are absolute idiots. Sure, they'll do it with your money. Oh, God.
Let's don't complicate this. I want to understand
Sure.
what you're saying. Let's suppose an American owns a piece of real estate they inherited from their father or their mother. And it was, when they inherited it, they got a step up in basis, it's worth $100,000. And all of a sudden, the interstate came through. And the property is now worth $1 million if they sell it. But they don't plan to sell it. They're going to leave it to the kids. Do you think that Americans should have to pay tax on the unrealized gain, the increase in value?
In general, no. At that level of wealth, for example, housing,
You think only wealthy people should?
at the very top, it's hard to tax,
But let me be sure I understand what you're
Sure.
saying. All right, let's suppose that's not just an average American. Let's suppose that's an American. What do you define as rich?
in the minimum income tax, it's $100 million of wealth or more.
Okay,
That's
so
$100 million a minimum. See, that's what these guys always do, folks. They always say, we're gonna go after the multi-millionaires, the billionaire class. But then you know what happens? It doesn't work that way, so they got to get their money somehow else. So guess who gets screwed up the wazoo with no freaking Vaseline to ever be used? Middle income people. Middle America. That's who gets screwed. That's who gets bent over by both political parties, especially these bureaucrats. They start off lofty. We're going to go. That's what they do. They play class warfare. It's those millionaires and those billionaires and those corporations, those greedy bastards out there. They're the ones that are hiking up prices. They're the ones that are, getting bonuses. They're getting rich off of you. We got to stop that. We got to get some of that money. We got to confiscate it. We got to create a wealth tax. We got to go after unrealized gains. Do you realize, folks, if they do the unrealized gains, regardless, it's going to affect the markets. It's going to affect the average person that's slowly, putting aside 5-6%, $6,000 a year into your IRA, into your retirement and savings accounts, retirement accounts, even into real estate or whatever. And now they want to, basically, they'll come after that as unrealized gains. It always starts going after the top people. But then they're the ones that stop it, because then they say, hey, you know what? You come after me, we'll give money to your opponents when it's time to run again. So why don't you just go ahead and take this money here and be on our sides? And if you really want the money, go after the people that we look down upon.
you think if you're really wealthy, you should have to pay a tax on your unrealized gain.
I think you should have to partially prepay if you're liquid, if you have liquidity to pay.
Do you think somebody, why can't you economists answer questions? Should any American have to pay tax on unrealized gain? Why can't you just answer me?
Yes, there are some who should.
Who?
The
who?
wealthy who have liquidity should prepay some tax.
What
on
if they
that.
don't have liquidity?
They should.
The uber wealthy, if they have liquidity, they should pay. If they got liquidity, because they got cash on hand that they've earned by the sweat of their brow, by investing, by doing things okay that have created jobs and wealth for other people as well as for themselves. If they're wealthy and they've got, liquid cash, and of course they should be paying a tax.
Not have to pay, and they will owe at sale, bequest, or gift
So if you have cash, you ought to have to pay, but if you don't, you don't have to pay?
to prepay.
Prepay!
In my testimony, there are examples of how this works so that you can preserve incentives to build a new company, take it public.
Okay,
While
what do you
also-
think, Dr. McBride? Do you think we should start taxing unrealized gains? And what do you think that'll do to the economy?
Well, I have several concerns about the approach. The first of which is it's completely untested. It's never been tried in this country. We have more
In
than
Europe
100
it
years
has
history of the
been.
income tax, and
Europe's tried it, haven't they?
no, they've tried wealth taxes.
Yeah.
Their
How'd
experience
that
with
turn
wealth
out?
taxes has
How did
been
that turn out?
Shitty.
It
Why is
resulted
that?
in a lot of taxpayers exiting the country, for one thing. In France, for instance, other countries that have tried it. And you suddenly lose a big chunk of your tax base that you're trying to tax there. We have that option in this country as well.
No shit, Sherlock. How about you dig deeper, Watson?
The result has been that most of those countries in Europe that have tried a wealth tax have rolled them back,
Yeah.
including France,
Yeah.
because they were administratively challenging. The basic challenge is what you're describing, trying to value assets without real market transactions. So this is a valuation dispute. It means we get the IRS engaged in yet another challenge. They're currently doing this with the estate tax. Those estates that are subject to the estate tax, those valuation
I need to ask
episodes
one-
can
I
go
need to
years
ask
and
one
years and
more.
years.
Can I have 30 more seconds?
Proceed.
Dr. Is it Clausing? Clausing?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Why do you and Dr. Yagan, why do y'all want to punish wealthy people?
I think I can.
Because they're fascists. That's why. They're Marxist, communist, socialist fascists. Working in the bureaucratic department of government. They don't have money, so they want to screw everybody else over that does. That's why.
Speak for both of us that we're not interested in punishing anyone.
No!
You're
having
interested
a
in taxing
fiscal
the hell out of them
system.
more than
Absolutely.
anybody else.
I think
Why,
the
what makes you
reforms
think?
that Professor
What makes you think that making tax policy on the basis of class or status makes sense?
I think it's a very American phenomena that throughout the history of the income tax, we have valued progressivity, and our current income tax does that. We used to rely on things like tariffs to raise revenue. Tariffs are regressive consumption taxes that disproportionately hurt the poor. We believe in this country that those with a greater ability to pay should pay more of the burden. And that's part of what a healthy capitalism does. It enables people to gain from things like trade and technological change and business innovation, and to contribute a little more to the fiscal system when they're very successful in doing so. And I think that that's a very legitimate way to structure the tax system.
Can
And
I ask you a question?
Yes.
Why do you think so many wealthy people are leaving New York City?
New York City is, an incredible city of innovation, immigration, entrepreneurship.
Yeah, but why are so many wealthy people leaving?
I think there are big advantages to living near centers of entrepreneurial activity.
He asked you a question. Why do you think people are leaving New York City? Can't you just answer the damn question once and for all? He didn't ask you about immigration. He didn't ask you about innovation. He didn't ask you about technology. He didn't ask you about any of those things. He asked a simple question, not just once, but freaking twice. Lady, why are people leaving New York City? Can you answer the question? Why is it that you people never do that?
And we see that on the website.
You think they're leaving to be nearer to centers of entrepreneurial activity, do you?
Well, I don't think there are a lot of people, fleeing New York City. That New York.
Then you're a freaking moron, because just look at the stats. They're fleeing New York City. They're fleeing California. They're going to states with no income tax or low income tax. That's what they're doing. God almighty.
City has.
Sure they are. They're thousands. I mean, there've been study after study after study. Why are so many wealthy people leaving New York City?
I think there's an enormous number of wealthy people who are in New York City and continue.
But why are so many leaving?
I can't speak to why particular people
I can
leave.
tell you why.
know
It's
that-
taxes. You know that as well as I do. It's
I
taxes.
think if you look at the economic,
Some of it's crime, but most of it is taxes.
well, you know,
People
I-
vote with their feet. The same
Yes!
reason that people are leaving California and moving to Austin.
if you look at California, it's one of the most successful economies in the world, and it continues to be so. It attracts people.
But they're
as
losing
well.
people.
I don't think it's in any day.
California cities are looking like shitholes right now. Take a look at what's happening in Los Angeles. Look at the amount of garbage, the amount of crap, the amount of shit that's on the sidewalks of San Francisco. They have to make shit maps, poop maps for people to avoid stepping in the cesspool that's being created by the idiot lawmakers of California and other big cities, San Francisco and other cities. These people are absolutely freaking dense.
Danger of decline, nor is New York City. And these are very vibrant places.
I don't think we're going to
for
ever
fundamental
agree.
reasons. Yeah.
I don't think we're going to ever agree.
You can't agree with stupidity or moronicity.
I appreciate the
Senator.
all three of you.
Thank you.
To be fair, there also are people moving the other way. There are people who move to New York. They just don't all leave from New York. It's a two-way street in and out of New York. And it's a two-way street between Austin and California. People leave Texas and go to California, and some of them do very well.
Well, that's
Some of them do very well, Mr. Chairman, but that's not the way it's going. They're leaving California by the thousands, hundreds of thousands. Same thing with New York City. And if somebody does have to go from Texas to California, it's probably because they have to go there for a job. They're not going there because they want to. They're going there because they probably have to for a reason. The stats are bearing that out. They're all going to cities and states that have no... Why do you think people go to Florida? Why do you think people are going to Texas? Why are people flocking to Tennessee? Other places. Why? Low or no state taxes. They're not stupid. People want to save their money.
It's true, Sheldon, but I can show you study after study after study, as you well know, and as the professor knows, that shows that people are leaving high-tax states and moving to low-tax states. All you have to do is
Well, they
look at
also leave,
all you have to do is look at the demographics. Pick the 9 states that have, say, a state income tax, and compare that, or that don't have a state income tax, and compare that to the states that do. It's called tax avoidance, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly legal.
People have different preferences. You know, if you look at where immigrants choose to live in the United States, they often go to those same places that you were talking about. You know, so I do think that, you know, there's movement in both directions.
Yeah, but here's my point. Here's what I think rational people do, and here's what I bet all three of you would do, and I bet Sheldon would do it because he's a smart guy. Okay, if he won the lottery tomorrow and won $10 million and paid his taxes and has $6 million left, he's going to at least consider, you are too, moving to Florida because
No, I
they don't have
wouldn't.
a state income tax.
Yes, you would.
No, I wouldn't.
Yes,
Never
you
crossed my
would.
mind.
Oh, come on now.
Well, I don't mean you're irrational. You know,
It can be quite rational to not want to
but
live
when
in
you're
Florida
liquid,
right now.
when you're liquid, and you don't have to pay a 6% off the top versus 0%, it's a rational economic move.
That's so true. It's a rational economic move. Most rational people absolutely would. Why do you think sports athletes don't stay in freaking New York for the majority of them? They domicile in Florida or Texas or other places so they can legally avoid paying the stupidity of millions and millions of dollars that are hard earned, so they can avoid paying the tax. And you guys are being disingenuous when you say that you wouldn't do that. If you don't do that, then guess what? You're just an idiot. You're a moron. You're a retard. It's simple as that. You have no fiscal sense at all. Don't tell me that you wouldn't move. That's just a bunch of crap. Anyways, folks, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasser Shake Show. I just get passionate about this, folks. The stupidity of these people. And you know what? They're just trying. They're really, are we that stupid? Are you trying to think we're that stupid that we're going to believe that you're not going to do that? Come on. Come on. Anyways, I'll leave you with my final. Oh, by the way, take a look at our other videos. Our links are above and below. Leave you with my final thought as always that when you're right, you're right. When you're left, you're wrong. Until next time, folks, take care and stay safe.